I recall waking up for today around 2:15 in the morning. And I didn't go back to sleep until about 8 p.m. Or about an hour after the end of my shift at Wegmans, which today lasted from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I felt drowsy and moved a bit slowly. Throughout a majority of my shift. But despite that, still did my best to restock merchandise within the produce department, the produce section of the store. I primarily switched between restocking the banana section of the produce department, which when I did that at the very start of my shift, though a coworker that I view as a supervisor clocked me in about 15-ish minutes early. As I got there 15-ish minutes early, after my mom drove me to the Wegmans I work at, after I spent the morning and early to mid afternoon hours going through my current rotation of games on Congregate. While listening to YouTube videos. I squeezed in some work on the Mughal polystyrene drawing project. And not that I was really busy today. Then I edited and uploaded the March 1, my dinner video. Edited it in the UCut video editor on my phone. And then through my phone, through the YouTube app, uploaded the UCut video file, project file, to my YouTube channel. I recall around 6:45 in the morning having the leftover chicken and steak my dad cut up right before. I ultimately added it to a can of Wegmans generic hearty chicken noodle soup. That I poured into a black plastic bowl. And then after microwaving it, just the soup was microwaved. Actually, no. I recall the steak and chicken was microwaved. Actually. And the soup wasn't. But the microwaved cut up leftover chicken and steak warmed up the soup. And I had that soup with my first cup of plain coffee, which I actually started having around 6 in the morning. And I use my spoon to scoop out the chunks of chicken and steak first, before having the soup itself. I recall having roughly 3-ish cups of plain coffee. I recall it was 3 full cups and then a 4th partial cup. That was essentially just a splash of coffee. From roughly 6 in the morning to 8:45 in the morning. I did some more work on outlining the Mughal on the back of the Mughal polystyrene drawing project. After uploading the March 1, my dinner video, and then around 1:15 p.m. I had with the small garden salad that at this point was about 3 days past its best by date, but despite that, it was perfectly fine. The only problem was that just some of the sliced cucumber, it was a bit mushy, but it was otherwise perfectly fine. I wasn't bothered by that. Even the mildly mushy cucumber slices, they were perfectly fine. And maybe some of the lettuce, it was a tiny bit stale, but it was perfectly fine for me. I didn't have any problems with that. With that garden salad. I had it with 3 mild cheddar cheese sticks, and some half and whole roasted cashews. If I recall, they were lightly salted too. my dad got those cashews from an Ollie's. I had all that with a glass of whole milk. And I ate that meal to ensure that I wouldn't be hungry during my shift at Wegmans today. During which, at one point, an older male customer struck up a conversation with me regarding banana spiders. Apparently, they hide in the cardboard banana boxes, and a few make it to get to the point where they end up scaring people who work within the produce department of supermarkets such as me. I haven't had that happen to me. Not yet. But I did tell him if it ever does happen to me and I see him again, I'll tell him so. If it ever does happen to me, I imagine it would scare me pretty good. Only because for me it would be completely unexpected. As that customer was talking with me, another customer passed by that I recognized as a coworker of the Wegmans I work at, that I've become familiar with. So I talked with that customer too. After the first customer finished talking with me, I took my one and only 15-minute break at 6:30 p.m. So that by the time it was over, my shift was pretty much over. And during that 15-minute break, I had a 16-ounce bottle of Upstate Farms branded whole milk. And I had that with a combo pack of sushi my mom got for me, along with that milk too, at the Wegmans by her place. And then packed as my lunch into two brownish plastic bags. By the way, this is a Sushi Favorites family pack. That I got from the Wegmans I worked at right after I ended my shift today. In the roughly 10 minutes I had between the end of my 15-minute break and me ending my shift, I tried to shrink the produce I pulled onto the bottom of my cart. But the weighing, the scale in the produce holding area was out of labels at the time. Throughout my shift, I switched between restocking the banana section of the produce department and restocking the hard items sections of a section of the produce department. I pulled one banana that had a burst seam, and quite a few, several red onions while I was restocking that. While I was restocking those. Here's where I am currently on the Mughal polystyrene drawing project after briefly working on outlining the Mughal on the backside of the polystyrene block that I'm using for this project, both before and after editing and uploading the March 1st, my dinner video. And before that, I used this ultrafine sharpening marker to touch up around this area. I recall noticing around 3:15 p.m. That there was some leftover chocolate chip cookie cake with milk chocolate balloon decorations. By an area within the produce holding area. An area that's meant for supervisors and up, but is open within the rest of the produce holding area. Apparently, there was a small retirement party for a coworker around 2:30 p.m. or pretty much around the time my mom dropped me off. Was at least driving me to the Wegmans I work at. I recall having two smallish pieces out of the four that were left. And I had a few of the milk chocolate balloon decorations. I recall at that time the milk chocolate balloons were in a sort of separate area compared to the four leftover pieces of chocolate chip cookie cake. Two by the time I was done, around 4 p.m. I kind of had all that I had, sort of one at a time-ish. And while I was on the go within the produce holding area, essentially.